Welcome to Standard Chartered Money Insights, a podcast series by Standard Chartered Bank that brings you market views and insights on the go.
Welcome to the third episode of our InvesTips from the CIO's Desk series. I'm Steve Brice, Standard Chartered's Global Chief Investment Officer and the host for this series. In the last episode, we discussed the importance of eradicating high-cost debt. However, we glossed over how to manage your spending and make it mindful or deliberate. It is human nature to want more things and to spend on impulse. And we're not helped by the fact that technology is making it so much easier to give in to such impulses through online shopping and credit/debit cards. And yet we all know conceptually that this, taken to its extreme, leads to financial ruin. However, at the other extreme, we could take the approach recommended in The Millionaire Next Door, where you scrimp and save throughout your whole life until you become rich. Now, I'm not sure about you, but that doesn't sound like a lot of fun either. So the path I recommend is a middle path. I think about it in terms of categorizing expenses into necessities, joy-giving, and nice to have. Now, by definition, we cannot avoid necessities, but we can work to make sure that they're cost efficient. It's often an area that's overlooked, in my opinion, as a potential source of reducing expenditure. For instance, we clearly need somewhere to live. But perhaps we could find something cheaper, even after factoring in travel expenses, which would allow us to save more with little impact on your quality of life. Another is a car. If you live in a city, a car may not be a necessity. Now, of course, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have one. There may be other reasons to have it, but perhaps it's not really a necessity. So as you go through the process of prioritizing expenses, just be honest with yourself. Now, the second category of expenses is what I call joy-giving expenses. And these are the ones that really enrich your life. These are unique to you. What makes you feel fulfilled in your daily life? They can be simple pleasures such as going to the movies and having dinner with a loved one. While these can be temporarily cut, especially if you need to get out of a debt hole, as discussed in the previous episode, they should be protected as much as possible, as they are what make life worth living. Now, the final expenditure class is nice to haves, and these are expenses that you enjoy, but they're not really crucial to how you feel about life. Now, these should be pared back significantly, at least until your financial situation is on a much stronger setting. So how do you do this? How do you prioritize your spending? Well, there are several techniques you can consider to ensuring that your spending is mindful. In a budgeting approach, you allocate a fixed amount to discretionary spending on a weekly or monthly basis. Actually physically placing this cash in an envelope every week or month and spending from that envelope, rather than trying to do mental accounting, can really help improve adherence to this approach. And if there's any money left over, it can be either rolled over into the next week or placed into your emergency fund, and we'll talk about this more in the next episode. A more intensive approach is a zero-based budgeting, which assigns every single dollar of income to a specific expense, saving, or investment. Now, naturally, this is the most time intensive in terms of tracking. And personally, it's not the way I want to spend my time. But for some people, it is an approach that is the best way to actually move forward. And the final approach is auto-budgeting. And this is becoming more popular, with apps able to sync bank accounts, credit cards, etc. to identify patterns in spending and identify goals, and can even suggest refinements in your spending patterns to keep you on track. As with everything, as you can see with what we're talking about here, everything that you decide is a very personal decision, but it's important to have a framework that works for you. Now, I understand that eradicating debt or budgeting is unlikely to get your pulse racing, but it's a crucial step towards our goal of financial freedom. It'll also help you figure out what's important to you and what is not. This can be by trial and error. You might think that going to the movies is really important, but you cut it out and actually you don't miss it. Now, as I tell my boys, The key to life is sustainable happiness. Cutting expenses to the bone, similar to extreme diets, are not sustainable. You may feel the need to do them from time to time, of course, but you need a plan to move back to a more sustainable outcome. So I hope these strategies help you think about how you might get to a more even keel when it comes to managing your expenses. In the next episode, we'll talk about the next step to financial security, building an emergency fund. Thanks so much, and I look forward to catching up with you then.
Thank you for listening to Standard Chartered Money Insights, a podcast series by Standard Chartered Bank. For more details, visit Market Views on the Go on our website or click the link in the description.